This is Jonathon Phillip Barrett doing my new student dialogue, and I did my new student dialogue on public education, a right or a privilege. So, the beginning of this day started out with me entering a room filled with many people who also chose the same new student dialogue. They were interested to see what other people thought and to see if other people supported their opinions or were against their opinions on education being a right or a privilege. We sat in a circle, and in the circle we discussed many different things, mainly education being a right or a privilege. There were active voices, quite a few actually, in our group, and those active voices they seemed to take the scene away for some of the more reserved voices who were in our dialogue, even though their voices are equally as important. Me, I tried to play a more neutral voice, because I am kind of stuck in the middle on if education is a right or a privilege. I don't really know. And I feel like it's more of an opinion, honestly. Because for me, the education that I'm receiving right now, Clemson University, this seems very much like a great privilege to have. But some unfortunate students of other schools in the US and in the world have very unpleasant schools and unpleasant learning systems. They need it to be better, and they need to have a better school system. For them, I feel it should be more of a privilege. More a right, than a privilege. Because their government should help them out and help them attain a decent education. Now, as I was speaking earlier about Clemson higher education, my personal belief on that is if you're willing to pay personally out of your pocket, not taxes, then I feel like it's a privilege and not a right. Because not everyone can go to a higher education. And also not everyone wants to go to a higher education. And that's a personal choice. There's nothing wrong with either choice. So, basically, in our group, we discussed these things, and we watched a video about these things. Our group seemed to come to the consensus, well, there really was no consensus, and the points for both sides were pretty equal. The privileged side had very good points, along with the side who thought it was a right. So, I think our group was pretty much like my opinion on this subject, a pretty neutral opinion, as in, it didn't really matter, really, almost. Good education is very important. And I'm glad I had this dialogue. It was very interesting. I don't really remember why I chose it, but I feel that it made a good impact on me. It made me start thinking about things like this. It kind of enlightened me on the school system. And I remember watching that same video that we watched in our session of our dialogue. And I think I watched it on the Discovery Channel. And I remember not thinking that much of it back then. But once I watched it again and I really sat down and paid attention to it, it was really sad the children who didn't have a good education and who couldn't really do anything about it. It made me want to fight for those children, because everyone deserves the right of education, even though it's also a privilege. It's a very interesting concept. I love this topic, and yeah. Well, that's all. Peace out.